Hi, my name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who lead, inspire, and motivate. Now, today I'm honored to be celebrating Danette Beck. She is a 2025 Woman of Inspiration Dream Builder Award recipient. She is a highly respected senior executive leader in the U.S. insurance and construction risk industry. She is the executive vice president, managing director, national director of broker operations for Astrus Solutions Inc.
You got it.
And I'm super excited to be having this conversation with her today. She is known for her authentic leadership, strategic insight, and her trailblazing impact in a traditionally male-dominated field. Danette has carved out a remarkable career defined by integrity, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to elevating others. She was raised as an identical twin and learned early what it meant to be challenging expectations. From earning her spot on the Spirit of Atlanta Drumline to leading within Delta Gamma to watching her mother serve as the CEO of their family's Tupperware franchise in the 80s. Her foundation was built on discipline, courage, and possibility. She went on to become the youngest and the first national construction practice leader at a U.S. major insurance brokerage and continues to shape the industry through her leadership today. Danette, I'm so thrilled to have you on the Woman of Inspiration podcast to share your career path and your journey. So, welcome to the Woman of Inspiration podcast.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm so excited to be here.
So you have accomplished a ton in your career, Danette. So take us back. I like to ask this question. Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I did, I do. I did. And in the inspiration of Robert Irwin winning last night, I wanted to be a conservationist. I really wanted to be Jane Goodall. I really did, which is hilarious when I look back on it because my science acumen not as great as my English and history side. So, but when I was little, I really idolized. I still did all the way up to her death, all the work that Jane Goodall did in her conservationist efforts. So that was my dream when I was tiny, and that soon evolved as I was growing up. But so yeah, way to go, Team Robert.
So I look at the career path. You grew up with, a mom who was a trailblazer. So you grew up with a really powerful foundation from the discipline of percussion to your mother's trailblazing leadership in the 1980s. So let me ask you, what of those early experiences, how did they shape your confidence, number one, and also your ambition?
You know, I didn't realize it when we were growing up of just how trailblazing my mom was. And it's only after her passing that, and now where I sit today, the little things that I remember, and you look at the landscape and just the trailblazing she did and the barriers that she didn't allow to even be in her way that, from a little girl, I mean, I just told you I wanted to be Jane Goodall and live in Africa. My mom was like, do it. Like, that would be amazing if you could do that. I always tell the story because I love this story. It was embarrassing sometimes growing up in a Tupperware household. My mom was a CEO. She was motivating, getting the managers to go sell little plastic bowls, right? And my dad, he quit his job to be the COO and to really take the back room of the operations and let her be the front person and be her support system, which, we never saw that that was unusual. We didn't grow up in a household that was seen as something that shouldn't have been done or wouldn't have been done. And one of the things that she would do is in the distributorship where we worked, we do joke that we were child labor, but we were part of the family business. And she would have motivational signs all around the office, right? So one of them that I still have on my desk today that says, see it, believe it, achieve it. and she was very much into visualization. And
Mm.
if you can put your mind to it and you do the hard work, you can see it, then you're going to absolutely achieve what your goals and your dreams are. But one of the other things that she would have, and this was, honestly in the bathroom stall, Monica, it was a sign that said, "Did you know the bumblebee shouldn't fly because the wingspan of its wings weren't big enough to support the weight of the bumblebee?" But it doesn't know, so it flies anyway.
Mm.
And, when you're 8, you're like, why am my mom having a poster about the bumblebee? But I have used it in a couple of speeches that I've done because it is literally the core and the foundation of our entire family, which is don't put what limitations others think that you should have. Like the limitations you put on yourself are the limitations you put on yourself. So foundationally and from a confidence standpoint, and joining the drumline, which is a separate funny story, is that I didn't really see limitations. My mom and dad never put them on us. It was, if you wanted it, there's going to be hard work that's involved. We expect 100%. There is no 50%. But if you do it, we'll support you in whatever you want to achieve. So that was amazing to have that level of support at such a young age in whatever we wanted to accomplish. As a quick aside, I didn't want to be a percussionist, but my mom believed that my sister and I should play an instrument and ultimately played the flute. And I honestly, Monica, hated it. And so but I could read music. So as soon as the band director was like, "Hey, we need some people that know how to read music to play in the percussion section and do marimba and the bells and, for like the Christmas concert." And so I immediately shot my hand up and was like, "That's me. I want to go back there." And then all of a sudden I'm like, how amazing is this? All the different sounds that you can make out of what percussion instruments are. And they really are the heartbeat of any orchestra or band. And I fell in love, like instantaneous. And I don't think my mom was too excited when I came home with a pair of cymbals, but certainly she started supporting. And that was actually my first foray into being a woman in a predominantly male-oriented space or like dominated space, and they made me feel comfortable, right? I didn't look like that. They didn't ever call me, "Oh, you're the girl on the drum line, you're the female on the drum line." It was Danette is first or second bass drum, or played quads, or played snare. And, so at that early age, right, in middle school and high school, to not have people label me as something that I did or in a space that I didn't belong, I think that was foundational for me as well because it wasn't weird to me. I was just one of the other guys, or one of the other, I'll call them, I was one of the other humans that were playing those instruments, which I really do think as I sit back and look on it now, those were two very pivotal times that I fit in when society probably would have said that was unusual.
So it's really interesting that Bumblebee comes up time and time again. And I actually, I had that as a question in the very end, but I want to talk about that a little bit more now. Um, you know, they're pivotal times, but I think it's like your mom is a trailblazer. Like Tupperware, I remember Tupperware, and like women working out in their home, but outside of their home and earning their own money and empowering other women to do the same. Like, OMG, how did your
OMG.
mom, pardon me?
OMG is right.
Right? Like, it's incredible. Like, I love Tupperware. And, I hope that you still have some really diamond pieces of Tupperware. I don't have any anymore.
We do, and there's still a lifetime warranty on them, which is
Is
amazing.
there really? Oh,
Yeah. And so, what was amazing, so it was intentional. So my dad had a day job. Well, there's 4 kids in our family with 2 older brothers, and I have an identical twin. And they were very intentional around family as a core. And that is also something that is foundational for me is that we had family dinner every night and we supported everyone. So my brothers played baseball. My sister became a member of the dance line. I was on percussion. And it's like, how do you fit all of that in? So my dad and mom figured out how to tag team. And modern day families do that today. It's not something unusual, but back in the day, it was. They never missed a band concert. They never missed a Friday night football game. They never missed a baseball game. our spring breaks were going to baseball tournaments or winter guard tournaments. Like you just adapted, right? And the family was the family. But I have a core memory that still sticks in my brain. My mom was hosting a party at their house, and it was for new managers on how they train their teams. And my sister and I were, playing around, and my dad, Monica, you're not going to believe this. So my dad would dress up in a Mickey Mouse dress with a handkerchief on his head, and his name's Russell Jones, so he became Joan Russell. And they had this tag team shtick that they would do. And I remember we would creep around the corner and we'd look, and my dad would do how not to sell Tupperware. And then my mom would model, this is what good looks like. But for my dad to come in and be willing to be vulnerable and authentically, you are not only my romantic partner, but you're my business partner, and we're going to do this together. And I just remember like everyone thought it was the best thing ever. And, Joan Russell lives on in infamy of just his support. And that's not only true love, but that's true partnership, that you're going to go to that lengths to help your wife out and what she was doing. And so to see that, I want to do that for my husband and be, a support system for him, but modeling, what good looks like and having a partner that is, vulnerable and authentic and is okay that it may be embarrassing a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're doing it because you love the other person and you're doing it because you want to help that other person succeed and be better. And so it's one of those things that I look back on very fondly. I remember the dress, like I can like visualize it in my face. It was so great. I really wish video existed back then so they could film it and we could like show it. Right. It was just amazing. Just amazing.
That's a huge core memory. And, by the way, I think your dad is a support her before we even coined the phrase support
Very much
her.
so.
And I think that's a lead by example moment where we need to really champion those men that are, advocating for women, that are stepping into the spotlight, being, like I think Loretta, one of our awardees, wrote a book, Balance is Bullshit. And, like her husband stayed back so she could go forward and be the breadwinner of the family. And so that's really what those relationships involve. It's not like us versus them, it's how can we do it together.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that.
So okay, so raised by a great support her and a woman of inspiration. Your mom, is she what is your mom up to nowadays? Does she have, does she where is Mickey
So
and Minnie Mouse?
unfortunately, she passed away a little over 14 years ago. So in June of 2010. But you know what, Monica? I, you know, when death happens in a family, and my father passed away a couple of years ago, and when that happens, so the parental units are no longer around, one of two things typically happens, right? Either the children come together very close knit, or they just kind of dissipate and go into their own worlds. And I will tell you that we have a text group we call it the Jones Four. It's my maiden name, Jones. And my brother texted us this morning. He goes, "I'm feeling especially grateful and thankful for the three of you today, and I love y'all with all my heart. And I just wanted to let you know." So when we talk about support her, my brothers very much support her. My twin sister, very much a woman of inspiration. And I'd love to just take a space and talk about her for a minute because our
Absolutely.
parents are up above looking down on us, but I think we have a stronger influence from them now than even I think when they were alive. But my sister is truly a woman of inspiration, has battled health issue after health issue, just a breast cancer survivor, and has just modeled a way of strength and resiliency for her, not only for the three of us, but for her two children, and to come out on the other end stronger. And just she is literally the other half of me. I mean, we are actually a subset of identical twins. We're mirror twins. So she was born left-handed. I was born right-handed. I have moles on the left side of my face, the moles on the right side of her face, and so literally we were like one human being at one point in time. And I just don't know what I would do in my life without her. And so she's my inspiration and what I look to in a living being now, but she amplifies and exemplifies my mom in a human form today and what my mom taught us as human beings when we were younger. So, yeah, we have them both, like, but now they're here.
What a beautiful legacy that is continuing. Like you can see the gratitude. And of course, where American Thanksgiving is on us tomorrow. So what a great opportunity shows thanks. And I'm a firm believer that they never truly leave us. And I am sure they're listening right now to the podcast.
Oh, I know they are.
Without a
Absolutely
doubt.
they are.
Without
That's
a
why I'm
doubt.
wearing
So watch
red.
for those signs.
Yeah, it was my mom's signature color. So in homage to her, I was like, I'm gonna do the red lip and the red dress for her.
Okay, I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so now I want to talk about you and your career path and your journey. Were the first female of a national brokerage. And so, how did you get to that position? And I mean, we talk about the percussion, we talk about the trailblazing influence we had from your mom, but there's some steps that you had to make along the way. What was that path and journey like for you?
Yeah, that's a thank you. That's a great question. So I'm one of those. I actually have a degree in insurance and risk management from the University of Georgia. Do a little Go Dogs. I know that's foreign to you, but it's a big SEC school. So we have a big football program and a love of our university. It's a business degree that I received from Georgia, and I was immediately recruited to go to Los Angeles and start a role out there, which did not necessarily have schools that had risk management or insurance degrees. And so, just a little plug out there for any young woman that goes into a non-traditional industry. I highly recommend it. An insurance career has been very fulfilling. And I think for me, it has provided me a lot of opportunity and a lot of ways to give back to the communities that I serve. And so, just a little plug for those women, don't knock insurance until you get into it and you can see it. So, I moved to Los Angeles and really, that's when my career took off because, I didn't necessarily look and feel like a lot of insurance brokers. I was female. You can't see because I'm sitting down, but I'm 5'4", so not really, large in stature, but large in personality. And when you move 2,500 miles away from everything that again, I go back to foundation from my mom, failure wasn't an option. So she was like, you need to figure it out, right? You've got this job, you've got to like start working hard and build your network. And I think that was one of the other things when I was young of like watching my parents, like you have to network, right? I mean, she was an at-home party sales leader, right? I mean, that's all you do is network and sales. So to go out to a place where I had no connections, you have to start drawing on the skill sets. And I'll bring in Delta Gamma at that time, joining a sorority. You learn very early on how to talk to people and ask open-ended questions, learn about them. You build leadership opportunities within Delta Gamma. I had to take care of 50 freshmen and sophomores that joined our organization as that was one of my roles within in the sorority at Georgia. And so you learn all these things really early on, and I had to call and draw on all of those in order to survive, right? I mean, I had to make a paycheck in order to pay my rent and pay my car payment. So what I realized is I really loved construction, which is there's no one in our family does construction. My grandfather is handy, my husband's extremely handy, but no one owns construction companies in our family. So 2 years into the role, I was recruited to go work for a company called Aon, and that's when I met Peter Arkley, who is absolutely one of my support hers. And I started working on accounts and started working on more complex accounts. And part of it, I think, and I do believe balance is bullshit because I tell young people now, they're like, how did you succeed? And I'm like, I love work. And so I tended to not really balance work because I loved it so much. And so I don't want to suggest the way to get ahead is by being a workaholic. But I think if you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, you're interested in doing that work better. So it's never like work harder, it's always work smarter in my brain. And I figured out that I really loved construction insurance and loved the broking aspect of it, which brings in that sales acumen, it brings in the networking acumen. And I started like excelling and, was put on some very high profile projects because it being in Los Angeles, there were a lot of really high profile industries
Mhm.
that are out there that I won't name, but there's some amusement parks that may be involved. And so, when you look at the type of work that I was exposed to, it allowed for me to build my repertoire. So when I was recruited to go to Marsh, that was my first leadership role. And I ran a third of the country. So it was Canada to Mexico, Honolulu to the Rockies. And that was my first foray into, instead of tactically executing, it was now strategically thinking and building on those practices. I'll go back to my mom. That's what she did. When you have to teach people to sell Tupperware bowls, what are you doing? You're being strategic in how to do it instead of you doing it yourself. So
Mhm.
I started drawing on, okay, how do you inspire and influence people so that they want to go do this for not only themselves, but for the good of the company? And so I spent 8.5 years at Marsh working in that realm, reporting up into our a dotted line into our vertical practice, and then solid line into the region, really building out that construction practice. Loved it. And then because I started like, wow, I really love the strategy part of this and encouraging and inspiring. And this is an interesting thing, Monica, which it doesn't exist in a lot of organizations, but in matrix organizations, a concept of managed by influence does. So I had no direct reports. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to get them to do what I want them to do when I have zero ability of affecting a promotion, a raise, a bonus? Like they have to like me. So you have to have equal parts cheerleader, equal parts, I'm in the trenches
Percussion.
with
You're
you.
doing percussion.
Exactly. And like, oh, well, you know what? Like, you're right. The heartbeat of the band. Like, how am I going to get them become a Pied Piper? Come follow me, right? My drum beat. And, and so, that's a lot of skills that I had to, really start, I think all these skills are muscles that you have to learn and practice and practice and practice. And so I did. And I was like, what? And I asked for feedback, which is extremely hard to do, and be okay that the feedback isn't always going to be like, keep doing what you're doing. It's fine, and taking that feedback and saying, okay, how am I going to make myself better instead of pushing against the feedback and maybe a constructive criticism, but absorbing it and taking it in and saying, okay, what could I do and take from that? And then model it so that I can be better tomorrow. And, Kirby Smart is the football coach for the Georgia football team, and he's an extremely successful, motivating individual. So our family listens to a lot of, we call them Kirby-isms. And he was like, what are you going to do today that is going to make you 1% better today than you were yesterday? And tomorrow, what are you going to do that's going to make you 1% better tomorrow than you are today? And so we're constantly looking at and I always call it the continuous improvement loop of what can you do to continue to do that. And so then ultimately, I randomly got a phone call from a recruiter. Another plug for LinkedIn. Keep your LinkedIn profile updated, ladies, because this is how they found me. USI, one of their internal recruiters called me and said, I was on LinkedIn and I saw your profile, and keep your LinkedIn profile updated with all the amazing things that you do. I think advocating for yourself and telling people some the things that you're involved in. Yes, cheer yourself
Yes,
on.
yes.
Um,
Like step
I
into the spotlight.
Yes, I get made fun of like every personal evaluation I've done for my performance reviews. I've given myself a 5, right? Knowing that I have improvement to make. And every boss has said, like, wow, you've given yourself a 5. And I'm like, yeah, I think I do a really amazing job, but I know there's things that I have to do differently and better. But I think what I'm doing, I work really, really hard and I want to show you. And I kept a brag board, right? I keep a OneNote of all
Mhm.
the things that I accomplish, all the things I want to accomplish, so that you have tangible things that have financial impact that go along with them, that allow for you to have a business conversation with someone. And so, I got this random phone call. Literally, the recruiter, he was like, I would like to talk to you. Please don't hang up on me. And I was like, I won't hang up on you. And they said, we love what you've done at Marsh, and we would love to see if you'd like to do this for the country. And I will tell you, my husband's also a support her. And at dinner that night, I said, so I had an interesting conversation today. And he was like, okay, so do tell. And I explained the conversation. And he said, you have to take that interview. He goes, one, I know you can do that job. Two, like these jobs don't come around. I mean, there's, if you look at major insurance brokerage firms, there's, depending on how you categorize them, there maybe 10 in the like tier one, and then there's, 20 or 30 in the middle, what we call middle market space. So that's, majority of the companies that exist in the United States. And then you've got regional and local ones. So this one, I mean, USI is it's a $2.3 billion financial services firm. So it's not small. And, you know, I was like, you know what, I have to do this. I have to do this for myself. And, one of the other sayings that I have is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you're not
Absolutely.
uncomfortable, you're not growing. And so I was like, is this scary? We had to uproot my family. My husband and I moved from California, where I had been for 25 years, to move to New York to take this job. But I was like, I have to do this for myself. And one of the things when I moved to California, and as much as it scared me to death, I said to myself, and I said to my mom, I said, Mom, if I don't do this, I'm going to look over my shoulder in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And if I didn't try, I'm going to be upset and I'm going to like kick myself for not at least trying. My mom always said that. She was like, how are you going to know if you're going to fly or fall if you don't try to fly? And so I was like, okay, let's do this. And so, I, took a leap of faith, but I knew technically I had it. I knew that. I knew that I had the experience to do the job as well. And then again, I had to manage by influence. I had no direct reports. So here I am leading a national vertical saying, okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's figure out how to make this work. And I really, really loved it. And when you look around, and when I took the job, I was like, you know what? I may be the first and the youngest, but I'm going to do this also because I want other young women, they can see that there's a path for them, and I want them to see what's possible. So I certainly may have been the first, but I do not want to be the last. And as you can see in insurance carriers now, we're starting to see female leaders. My now boss modeled this. She's been the CEO of this MGU since I met her 30 years ago. So, and she was in her 30s at the time. So, the amazing thing, sorry, I think I just told Joan, I just said how old Joan's age. She's gonna kill me for that. But she has been such an amazing role model for me, that she was also someone that when I took these jobs and these, the additional, responsibilities, she was the one that was always supporting me. She was like, you can do this, right? You've got to take that job. That job's amazing. You got to take that job. So, I look at my major professional life decisions and some personal ones, that she's been there every step of the way, always encouraging me, always making sure and holding me accountable, making sure I do the work, but that I can do whatever I put my mind to. So she's honestly taking, some of that mentorship role that my mom did in the early years and has continued that now even today.
And her name again, please, and
Her
the
name's
role.
Joan Miles.
Joan, I hope you're listening.
Joan nominated me for this award, so she gets all of the props for this. She's believed in me for a very long time.
Well, I'm really excited. I think we should have a conversation with Joan because when you inspire somebody's a lot of times you actually don't have um it doesn't come back to you directly to know that you've actually made such an impact in somebody's life. And just all the many, many conversations I've had, I'm just like, let's do that shout out to that woman or that support her that has really championed and stood by you and really helped you succeed because they deserve a little bit of a bravo as well. So bravo to Joan.
Bravo to Joan.
Bravo to Joan. Very
Yeah,
cool.
and I tell her, I actually just posted this on LinkedIn, when I won, when I was allowed to tell that I got the award. And I put this phrase, I said, I don't know how I will ever repay you. And I mean it. And she inspires me to do the same thing for the next generation, identifying those young women who I feel confident that they're going to be our next generation of leaders, and then help them. And so for all of anyone that's listening to now, like, just know that I am cheering you on and I am supporting you and I will be there for you, whatever you need. And I think that it's incumbent upon each of us to pay it forward and keep that ladder down so that we can pull those women along with me. So she's really been truly an inspiration for me to then do that for our next generation.
Beautiful. What I have been talking about for a while is that we do need to see more visible female leaders in positions of power because we know that we have the ability to make the change. And so, how have you been able to use your power to inspire change?
So, oh gosh, I think, you know, what I love is that they don't have to be monumental, right? They don't have to be Jane Goodall level of, inspiration and power. That every day, even if it's small little things that I can do, when I look at, you know, I don't look at power as a dynamic of, that shift, but that my voice has power and that having, the ability of, talking to people about, ways that they can, inspire their own change. And young professionals, I think, sometimes have a hard time visualizing it. And so giving my time is something that I love, right? I love to do. I have several young professionals that I meet with on a regular basis and several that are still in college that I meet with on a regular basis to empower them, right? I always love saying this, empowered women empower women. And so,
Mhm.
and they're not all women. Some of them are young men as well. But that if I can give up my time, that also inspires change. But then also, you talked about it in my very generous introduction, that I love, right? And I'm like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that too. Yeah, proud of that too. And one of the things is the integrity part, right? And I think there's a lot of power in integrity and authenticity. And if I stick true to my authentic person, and if I stick true to who I am as a human being, then that's also going to lead for change. The other thing that I'll tell you is that I never ask anyone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. Like I am very much a servant leader and very much someone that wants to inspire people by leading from the front and by doing the work itself. And so, I very much pride myself on like it doesn't matter. Do you want me to stuff envelopes? Okay, that's fine, right? Do you want me to make copies of something? Yep, that's great. I need to clean up the coffee after the meeting? Like, I don't look at any of those things of like, again, power dynamics, like, what is a power dynamic look? And that is like, hey, listen, we're all in this together because I want to model that it's okay that when I ask you to do it, you know that I'm going to be standing right alongside you, which I'm also I have a very long title, right? But every single one of my teammates, like we treat each other like we're family. Like there is no power dynamic or hierarchy. Certainly are the reporting structures, of course, right? But we're all doing this together. So we're all making phone calls when we need to make calls. We're putting presentations together when we put presentations together. Because I think if you have that sort of orientation, that power is empowering. It's not, I'm coming down over on top of you. It is, I'm coming alongside of you and I'm grabbing your hand and we're running and we're going to run as fast as we can. And we're going to run as fast as we can together so that we can achieve what we want to achieve. And so I think just in those couple of ways, I feel like small little power things like time and then, larger aspects of how you create and inspire individuals because you're doing it alongside with them.
What I see is your passion is evident. And, I think that people see the hard work and the passion that you have for what you do. And I completely agree that you will work as hard as you possibly can, not because you're a workaholic, but just because you love what you're doing. And I think it's that love of what you're doing that is contagious, and people want to model that.
It really, I wake up every day. I love what I do. Well, it's strange to say that when you say insurance and risk management. And as another little side, we had some interns over the summer, and I did a presentation for them because part of it is you trying to brainwash them to like come, like just keep
Come to
coming,
the other side.
keep coming back, And so I do a lot about like the career, and I have amazing photos of me on job sites. Monica, I was 500 feet below ground in a water outfall tunnel that was bringing critical water infrastructure to the residents outside of Las Vegas. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I was standing on the infinity pool at the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore for the Las Vegas Sands Corporation. So I have like really cool projects that I worked on because people ask me all the time, why construction? I'm like, name another industry vertical that you have a visual representation of how you change communities. Just look around. We build schools, healthcare facilities, you build, fun stuff like stadiums, and I mentioned amusement parks, but it really does allow for, we fix dams, right? We like repair homes after wildfires. I mean, it's just like the amount of when I said, giving back to the communities in this really small way, like this is how you do it. But,
Mhm.
okay, so as they said, I'm talking to the interns and I'm like, let me ask you a question. I go, what do you tell your friends that your internship is? I was slightly frustrated that they would say, "Oh, I tell them I do marketing. I'm in sales. I work in, financial services." I'm like, "So you don't actually tell them you do insurance?" And I want to take that stigma down. Like being in insurance service management is really flipping cool. And the things that we're able to do to help our clients do what they want to do, everything has risk in it, right? And there's a cost to it, right? And so you want to build a bridge, cool, right? But how are you going to do that without if something bad happens that you have to pay for it yourself? That's all I'm doing is helping companies achieve their dreams and doing it in the application of construction. And so I find that my career has been extremely rewarding. And so a very long-winded answer of I wake up every day excited about what I'm going to do and how we're going to help our companies thrive, right? And there's wacky economics, right? And there's a lot of external pressures that are against some of these businesses. And so for us being able to help them manage that part of it is actually very rewarding. And so I have a lot of passion for my job, my career, for the people that I work with, because they're entrusting us with a lot of money. And when you put that in that frame that we're stewards of their money and helping them manage through challenges and tight deadlines and cost overruns, et cetera, then there's a link there that makes it extremely not only personal but familial for me. Because a lot of the companies we work with are second, third, fourth, fifth generation family run companies, right? So it's their
Mhm.
family name that they've got on the outside of that building.
Yeah. And what I also really love is the fact that there are so many opportunities for women. I love underrepresented industries. I'm like, ladies, if you need an industry to go to, run, don't walk.
Run.
Go make your mark because there are
Every,
so many opportunities and they have really cool jobs. Like, I mean, who could ever experience some of the experiences that you've had? By the way, if you need a sidekick, I'd be happy to kind of go behind the scenes with you someday.
oh, I would love it. Come back
Wouldn't
to
that
New
be
York. I
fun?
would love it. Oh
And
my
we
gosh.
can
And we
make a
would go
great
to a
big
job
thing
site.
about it and go, okay, girl power. Guess what I get to do? Wouldn't you want to do this job?
Okay, so I'm going to do another shout out to a support her that I
Okay.
didn't put any in the materials that you know, but her name is Deborah Bradley. And hey, Deb, she runs a construction company in New York and did the renovation for the Statue of Liberty. So
Are
yes,
you kidding me?
I'm not kidding at all. And did the museum, and she does, playgrounds in New York City. And so to see her as a female CEO, and there's dozens of them. Elizabeth Velez, I could name like a bazillion of women-owned construction companies that come and we could do a job site walk, a behind the scenes. She can show
Let's
you.
do it. Sign me
It's
up and let's get that on the map for 2026 because
I
we are,
love it.
yes.
Done.
Yay. Okay, so listeners, what you just witnessed right here is how women get shit done.
Exactly.
Like we come up with an idea, we have an alignment with values, there's a passion there, and that is actually also a really great example of women in power because you are able to make that happen. And so if there was any other role, it wouldn't have been the same. It's like, yeah, I could see that happening because I am talking to the right person in a position of power to make that happen. That's a perfect
Absolutely.
example of how that happens.
And I think everyone's like, what's your superpower, right? And I always say, I absolutely know my superpower. I'm a connector. Like you say something like, I would love to do X, Y, or Z. I'm like, oh, I know someone that can do that. Let me introduce you. Let's make sure that you two know each other and then carry on, right? So I do. And I haven't really talked about Delta Gamma a lot, but I still am heavily involved. And people are like, you're still involved with a sorority that you were in college? I'm like, yeah. proudly wear I'm not only and you'll see it, and I want to show you on social media that we do a whole month long homage to I am a sorority woman. And I, love Delta Gamma. I love my
Amazing.
sorority, but I believe in the Panhellenic movement because talk about empowering women at a young age that, you take on leadership responsibilities. You're accountable to each other. You're accountable to uphold each other so that you're the best version of yourself. So now when I look at some of my influence, I am privileged that Delta Gamma gives me the opportunity to lead leadership conferences for women. I led a facilitation for upcoming leaders. We call it Lewis Institute, and have 80 young women that came and just talk about vulnerability and authenticity to really show them how to be that at the age of 18, 19, and 20 so that they're
Amazing.
set up for success. And so I look at everything that Delta Gamma has given me and I give back to her tenfold so that all of this younger generation of women can see that they can do whatever they want as well. And so I believe in the sorority movement. I believe in Delta Gamma. I believe that it provides young women and women of all ages learning and leadership opportunities that still to this day that I get to see firsthand. So it's super exciting and grateful that I'm also first generation Greek. Like that didn't exist in my family. We didn't really know what it was, but you go to a large SEC school. It's part of it. And I was like, I'm going to try it and see if I like it, and really loved, what a dichotomy, right? I'm on the drum line, right? And then, back in the day, this was in the 90s. So we were wearing Laura Ashley dresses with like
I totally
collar,
remember
the
them.
Peter Pan collars and everything. I still shudder that I like walked outside wearing that outfit, but it was the style that day. It was the style. But
And the shoulder
so
pads. Don't forget the shoulder pads, Danette.
oh,
The big
full
shoulder
stop. My first
pads.
outfit when I interviewed, I don't know how I got hired because I had like really large shoulder pads.
Oh my. I still see pictures and oh my gosh. I'm like, what? Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's typical
That's it.
response.
That's wow.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when people say you haven't changed a bit, I'm like, what? I hope so. Well, just a
Yeah,
little bit. I don't have shoulder pads anymore.
I know. I know. Exactly.
Uh, well, I am super excited to be talking with you about your legacy. I mean, actually, now let's talk about what's next and like, what do you hope to do and achieve? I mean, you're a woman of inspiration, dream builder.
Well,
So,
and I love that when I was looking at the different awards, Dream Builder was such, it like just spoke to me, right? That, I am so excited to continue down the path of creating spaces for young women to come into our business. And so I spend a lot of time at campuses where there are risk management and insurance programs. I'm very grateful for my company that supports me in doing that. And so I still am a member of the Risk Management Advisory Board. I go back and speak on campus all the time. I'm on the Dean's Advisory Council, so help to be able to create the ability of the connecting with the students and what we're doing within risk management at the professional level. I'm very privileged to be able to work for a CEO that gives of all of her time to me, to be able to develop me personally and professionally to be a human being. So I don't know. I don't know, for tomorrow, the goal is to continue to be a better person and to continue to inspire. I want to continue volunteering. It's something else foundational that my mom really instilled with us when we were young was to give back and give back as often as you can, and that the more you give and the more that you're grateful, the more that it comes back to you tenfold. And so I'm excited about volunteering with Delta Gamma. I'm also on the board of the Blind Children's Center, which is near and dear to my heart. It's still out in Los Angeles, and so that was one of the COVID, I think, benefits is that I was able to still maintain my board membership because we moved to virtual meetings. And so, yay. And they are doing such great work. Again, shout out to Sarah Orth, CEO of the Blind Children's Center, doing amazing things for an underrepresented community out in the Los Angeles area. And so, ultimately, if I could spend more time volunteering than working, I think that would be amazing, right? To be able to support those efforts and have just a giving heart in doing that. But I'm not ready to just do that yet. I'm ready to continue to, show and inspire young women that they can continue to, that do this, right? And every woman that I talk to that gets promoted in their space, and again, like there's a bazillion of you that I've watched your career paths and I love cheering you on and like, go girl, run, run, run. You can do it. And the biggest supporter is going to be me because I know you can do it. And so those are some things that I'm excited about continuing to work on. And I don't know, I mean, be CEO of a company, maybe, work for a different company and inspire change over there. Who knows? I mean, in this day and age, keeping pace with all of the changes that are happening in construction, the economy, AI, like there's a lot to do. And
It's a very exciting time.
very exciting time. And I joke, I'm a Gen Xer, and I was like, we're the most adaptable and resilient. I'm like, you want me to learn AI? Done. I've got it. You want me to learn, look, I went to college. We didn't have computers at the time. You want me to learn something? I'm going to learn it because we got left alone by and large when we were young. So I'm very excited about what the future of insurance is going to be and how we can inspire change. And, which is kind of funny, again, to say that with the context of insurance, but I think there's a lot to do, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, I think the title Dream Builder, Woman of Inspiration Dream Builder, is very appropriate for you.
Thank you.
And I see that happening. We're going to build some dreams in 2026. And, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your leadership, your stories. And, I know that both your parents are looking down on you and celebrating with you and cheering you on. I would also love, like you were awarded. I often say that women of inspiration don't wait for opportunities, they create them. And so, as a woman that has really been stepping into the spotlight and creating a path for others, what does it mean to be celebrated as a woman of inspiration?
Well, it's humbling, right? I think you don't do the work to get the award, right? I think it's amazing to be recognized, and I've learned, that you have to celebrate, right? You have to take a moment and pause and celebrate. And I'm also a big Peloton fan, so Robin Arzon, shout out to you and all the other instructors, Jen Sherman, like all of them. But Robin said something in one of the classes, and she was like, "If there isn't a seat at the table, build your own table." And I was like, yeah, girl, like that's absolutely correct. Like build that table, but I want to build a table that everyone has a seat at, right? That if you want to have a seat at that table, and I won another award, and they said, "What advice do you have for someone?" And I said, "Listen, have a voice, be able to stand behind your voice, sit at the table and use that voice when you get there. But you have to do the work, right? You've got to be prepared so that when you say what you want to say, that you can say it with conviction and with confidence, but also with the data behind it, that you're now credible." And I take that to heart because, I think you have to practice more in preparation than when you're performing, when you're actually out there in the presentation, in the meeting, in whatever you're doing. And so I try really, really hard to model that and practice that so that the when I talk to young professionals and have those spaces and teach them about like, what do I do to get in that space? I'm like, well, first of all, you got to walk through the door. Number two, you've got to, put yourself at the chair. And I don't know if you see this or when you talk to some other women, if you notice this, like when you walk into a conference room, right, you got the chairs at the table and then there's always chairs along the wall. Where do the women naturally go? They go to
Oh,
the
do you
chairs
know
on the
what?
wall.
I go to the front row
I go the
and I
same.
actually take that little lever and I go
Yeah,
and I get
same.
higher. I go as high up as I can go on that chair.
Exactly, without my feet like dangling on the bottom, 100%. And I would see some of these younger professionals, like these younger women, like come and sit in the back row. I'm like, why are you sitting in the back row? You need to sit at the front row. If you've been invited to this meeting, you've been invited to this meeting. So, I just want to continue to like, I don't know why it happens, but it's like we've got to encourage and continue to remind people to do that. So, just I think a couple of ways that, that seat at that table, it's important.
Oh, I've got some ideas I want to chat with you about
I
doing
love it.
something.
I'm
Yay.
in.
Okay. Yay. And before we wrap up with our, rapid fire, because I have a couple questions for you. What is your definition of a woman of inspiration? Because this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast.
So, I've said it kind of a couple of different ways throughout our session today. But, I think a woman of inspiration is authentically who they are, and they act that way even when no one's watching. And, that they truly want everyone around them. I use a lot of nautical references because the symbol for Delta Gamma is the anchor, which is the ancient symbol of hope. So that's a lot. We have a lot of hope as well. And I think that, a woman of inspiration brings that hope and passion around everything that they do. Really, how you treat people, how you interact with people, even in the smallest little moments. Even when no one's watching, what does that say about you? So to be inspiring is I want people of all ages, right? All, men, women, whoever you are, to look and say, wow, Danette's doing it not for the accolades, not for rounds of applause, not for awards and, plaques that sit on my wall, but I do it because it's the right thing to do. And it's the right thing to do all the time. One other thing about Delta Gamma, our motto is do good. And so do good always. And so we call ourselves the Do Good Sisterhood. And so to be able to have that organization kind of as a backdrop, that it allows for you to be a woman of inspiration all the time, because that's what we empower ourselves to do, is to do the right thing even when no one's looking. And, so I hope, even if you impact one individual and they try something and they go do something that's outside their comfort zone and they go chase after the job that maybe they don't think they were qualified for, but they do it anyway, that's when I know that I've made an impact. And if I could do that every day, then I think that that's a pretty darn good thing.
Beautiful. And, I have to say that, that definition of a woman of inspiration, I've said it before, but if I was to hold up a mirror, it would be exactly you.
Thank you.
So, rapid fire questions. I'm interested, what book are you reading right now that you might want to recommend to our listeners?
So I'm reading two, and it's only because I left one at home. So I'm reading one, Discipline is Destiny, and it's all about self-control and really, personally and professionally, how do you organize yourself and make sure that consistency is key in a lot of success. It's a lot about consistency in what you're doing. So it's a great book. I have it right here for
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, let's hold it up. Okay, Ryan Holiday, Discipline is Destiny. Ooh, I like
Yep.
that.
That was actually a Jess Sims recommendation from Peloton as well. Shout out to Peloton. And then the other one I'm reading is Story Brand. And I'll have to Story Brand 2.0. And it's how to tell your story, right? And how to
Mm.
tell your story in words that, insurance isn't exactly a straightforward thing to talk about. And so, when you talk about insurance, you have to translate it into a language that makes sense for individuals that have no idea what it means and how it applies. And so, I do a lot of internal training with our team of trying to break that down and not, be super technical that no one knows what you're actually talking about. But if we can translate this into a story that makes sense, then it's going to make people want to do business with us and trust that we're going to help them in what they do. And so, telling our story is also part of success. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't know how to actually sell your products, look at Shark Tank. Shark Tank is a perfect example of that, right? That you could have the best idea, but if you don't know how to present yourself, then it's an idea, right?
Beautiful. And I guess probably I would, what do you do in your downtime? Like, I mean, people look at you being a busy bee, your hands in a lot of little cookie jars, but how do you stay grounded and, honor Danette while you're out there doing all this incredible work in the world?
So that has always been a challenge when you say like balance is bullshit. Like that was it's something I had to learn. So, as I've gotten older, there's some things that I have started doing. And also big shout out to having executive coaches. I think that's a phenomenal thing to do. It's someone that will help you sort through ways that you may not see in yourself, but help you become a better person. And so I've had several executive coaches that have done a phenomenal job. But I had one, it was what was called a sprint. So it was 5 sessions that our company paid for. And she was phenomenal. Like, Tino, I adore you. And she got me into meditating and really like literally the stillness, like what does stillness mean? And as you can see, I'm a pretty gregarious and high energy type of individual, and that can be exhausting as well. And so sitting in silence and being self-reflective is, something that I've learned has been really good for me because it organizes my thoughts and gets me into a place, and I do it first thing in the morning. And then one of my other non-negotiables, I love to work out. I mentioned Peloton a couple times. Orange Theory, shout out to you as well. I taught group exercise when I was growing up. And so it's been a cornerstone of, getting up and starting to focus on yourself and just being healthy. It's not about, a dress size or, what I weigh on the scale. It really is about my mental, like where my mental capacity can be and just getting my brain, okay, ready, set, go. And then from like a time standpoint, my husband and I love hiking. Like we will hike any mountain. We hiked Kilimanjaro for our honeymoon. Yes, yeah.
Amazing.
So it was amazing. So, and one of my best girlfriends and I hiked Machu Picchu for a girls trip, right? So,
Forget about Vegas. We're gonna hike
yeah,
a
it's
mountain.
amazing. So, we love to be outdoors and go hiking and travel to new places. Our big trip this year is we're going to go hiking in Patagonia for over New Year's. So we're getting ready for that. And so that takes you away from devices and, a
Mm.
work environment. And so what he and I have figured out is that when we get into nature, all of this has to go away. And you can't be on your phone. You can't be, taking a conference call. And so we intentionally book a trip. I'll give another shout out or another recommendation. Under Canvas is an amazing outfit. They have tented camps that have beds, right? So you're not, packing in everything, but they're all in the major national parks. And so we've been to like 7 of them now. And most of them have little to no Wi-Fi. And so again, you have to unplug. You can have data on your phone, right? You've got this, but you don't have a lot of ability of working. And so it forces you to go into nature. And, we've done really cool things like hike the Narrows and hike, Zion and Acadia, Mount Rushmore. We just went to Columbia River Gorge in Oregon, and it's so beautiful to see nature and to get out and there's studies out there that it grounds you, right? When you're in nature, that it's helpful to do that. And so, we love it, and then you get the benefits of it as well. So those are like 3 specific things that I do that help me be a better, like when I'm on in work, I can be on in work because we take the time away from work to do those
Beautiful.
things.
Love it. Love it all. And what a treat. How can our listeners find out, follow you, learn more about your company? They have daughters or, sons that want to, break into your industry. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's amazing. So Facebook, Danette Beck, Instagram, Danette Beck or D Beck 23, and then LinkedIn, Danette Beck. My company is Astrus, Astrus. Find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to message me. If you reach out to me and you want to have a Zoom call, I promise you that I will respond. I love it. I love the opportunity to speak with other women. Feel free to reach out to me on email. My email address is dbeck at astrusins.com. Would love it.
Great. You're a brave one giving your email out on the World Wide Web, but that's okay.
It's on my LinkedIn profile there, so I get emails all the time. And if you have any construction needs, especially if you're a female construction executive out there, please link me in. There's several women construction executive organizations that I can help link you in so that your network can expand and that you can, help other women and or do business with other women. Would love to be able to do that.
Beautiful. Well, that was a beautiful end to the Woman of Inspiration podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you, Danette Beck, on our episode today. And once again, congratulations on Woman of Inspiration, Dream Builder. I look forward to the journey ahead with you and inspiring change. Listeners, here's a job for you. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit subscribe and also share this message widely with someone that needs to hear it. There'll be another woman in your world, whether she has raising daughters, whether she's going through a journey of transformation herself, or just needs a little extra boost of girl power. This is the message for you. So thank you so much for joining us, Danette. And I am excited about doing some of those things that we talked about.
I look forward to it, Monica.
Have a great day.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Okay, bye.